Hey, what's up, guys? Will Sherland again with Gutter Fighting Secrets. I'm here at One Shepherd Warrior Institute. We just got done with the last day of training, and we got Brent0331 to sit down with us for a quick interview about his channel. I'm sure you guys already know about him, but if you haven't, definitely check him out. He's got a really spectacular channel and a lot of really great information that you're not going to find elsewhere. So we've got Brent to go ahead, sit down with us. I actually found out about One Shepherd from his channel. He was putting a word out there that this is the place to go if you really want some serious training. So with all that in mind, let's get the introduction up. Brent, how are you, man?
What's going on, brother? We just had a kick-ass experience. Myself and Will were in the same squad, fighting the bad guys for a whole week. We started with the Basic Warriors course, moved on to the STX, and then finished with a over 48-hour FTX, which is just a grueling combat experience with utilizing the mile system and infantry light fighter tactics. So just an awesome experience, man. I know you.
Dude, it was kick ass, bro. And for those of you who don't know the mile system, Brent could probably explain it a little bit better, but it's basically a way to do force-on-force training with lasers and little signals like laser tag almost. It's something that the military utilizes a lot, but this is something basically you can't find elsewhere. As a civilian, you can't go ahead and train with this stuff outside of One Shepherd. So for anyone interested in actually getting some hands-on force-on-force training, I know that there are places out there where they do live fire, small unit tactics and whatnot. But this place, like, guys, trust me when I say this, Brent is not wrong. This is the real deal. If you want to learn some serious skills and don't want to do the whole 4-year Army, Marine Corps, whatever route, this is the place you want to go. With that in mind, Brent, you know, you were talking about the mile system on your channel a little bit. Can you give the guys a little bit better of an explanation of what this thing actually is?
Sure. And, you know, there's other combat systems like airsoft and paintball and sims. And, you know, the Marine Corps, we use sim rounds a lot. Those systems are great, but generally speaking, they're great only for close quarters battle type training. All right? Not this kind of stuff. Right now, or excuse me, at One Shepherd, you go out in the field, you're in the field for like 2.5 days, and you're doing real combat engagements, 300, 400, 500 meters. I mean, real deal. You're wearing what you would wear in combat. The mile system, the way it works is you wear a chest harness that has sensors on your front and your back, and then you wear what they call a halo around your booty cover, your Kevlar helmet, whatever you're wearing. Your personal weapon has a box that emits a laser to it that keys off the cycling of your bolt and when you fire a blank round. So, I mean, literally, it's combat simulation as best as possible. Now, with that being said, you know, the mile system does have some drawbacks. I know Will probably experienced that also. You know, foliage may interfere with your laser. It may not. I don't know. You know, there's definitely situations that arose this past week where, like, you're engaging a guy who's behind vegetation, and, you know, a normal 5.56 would have no problem punching through that vegetation, but that might disrupt your laser. So it's not a perfect system.
But, you know, none of this really is. Like,
Right.
if you're talking about sim rounds, you're talking about airsoft, I mean, that's not necessarily going to penetrate through foliage or whatever either. And you were saying with the sim rounds, like, probably better for close combat type situations, CQB training or whatever. This mile system is the real deal. Like Brent was saying, you can engage your target up to what, 300, 400 meters, something like that?
Real combat engagements. So 500, 600 meters, you can max out whatever the ballistics. The lasers are set for the ballistics of a 5.56.
So whatever a 5.56 can reach out and touch, the mile system can as well.
Right, fired out of like a typical, you know, standard issue M4 carbine or M16.
And you were actually saying that this mile system can actually account for windage and all that stuff as well? If I have the right terminology.
Not necessarily windage, but like it has, you know, the bullet drop.
Bullet drop.
So it's matching, the laser is matching the ballistics of a 5.56. So what actually happens is the laser shoots out, and this is what was explained to me by the staff here in cadre at One Shepherd, but it shoots out a grid, and as the laser goes down range, the further out it gets, it knows that, okay, well now, you know, now that the laser's at 300 meters, it should be in this part of the grid. At 400 meters, it should be in this part of the grid. 5, this part of the grid, and then it also has like probabilities factored into that. So it's a really complicated, you know, system, and how it's all designed and works and everything.
Yeah.
In my opinion, again, it's not perfect, guys, but it is the best possible way to train for real combat environments, without actually throwing rounds at each other.
So with all that being said, Brett, and I was talking with you kind of one-on-one about combat and how do we train for combat properly, and you were basically saying, look, bro, like you can only train for combat, as far as you can take it. You don't want to be throwing lead at each other or whatever. Same thing with the martial arts. You can't go ahead and actually break someone's arm, but you can train it as far as you can take it, right? So, and we do a lot of talking about the martial arts on this channel. We do touch on this type of stuff as well, and I know that you actually said you were a McMap instructor.
Right.
So can you go ahead and give us, for this channel, it's really focused more on martial arts, a little something about McMap and like what it is really all about?
Sure, and just off the top of my head, the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program, it's been in service for a while now. So I think it started around the 2000s.
Okay.
Before that, I believe we had line training, and then McMap rolled into the picture, and it's really based off a belt system. So you have several tiers. So you have your tan belt, your gray belt, your green belt, brown, and then finally your first degree black.
Okay.
At each level belt, you learn a series of techniques, and what those techniques are is everything from ground fighting to striking, both with your arms and your legs, to takedowns, to bayonet fighting. I mean, it's just what McMap tries to encompass is not just focusing on one aspect of martial arts like jiu-jitsu. It's taking
what works
from the different martial arts and using it what we think is going to be most effective for our purposes as United States Marines on the battlefield in close combat.
And every Marine I've ever met, it's all about the most effective way to do things.
Right.
And so McMap, and you mentioned that you guys still train with bayonets.
Yes.
I know that a lot of other services around the world have thrown away the whole bayonet training. And I think it's fitting that Marines stay with the bayonet because it's an up close, in your face, I'm here and I'm going to kill you, basically.
Right.
You were telling me, like, one-on-one, I was telling you about, some of the bayonet training I've done, and you were saying, look, in the Marines, basically the warrior ethos, the warrior, the desire to close with your enemy is so strong. Dude, what makes a Marine so able to go ahead and close with the enemy and have that ability to just end the fight?
Man, that's there's a lot to go into that question. The Marine Corps in particular has a very strong warrior ethos, and obviously I'm biased because I'm a Marine, but the camaraderie and the brotherhood in the Marine Corps is very strong. The example I give is like you're driving, if you live in the United States and you're driving down the road, start counting how many armed forces stickers you see on the back of cars. Mm-hmm. You will probably see more Marine Corps stickers on the back of cars than any other branch of service. And there's a lot to be said for that. And the reason I say that is because the Marine Corps is essentially one of the smallest branches of the armed forces.
Yeah.
Like, we're just a fraction of what the Army and Navy and Air Force are as far in terms of funding and manpower and everything. But yeah, you'll see more Marine Corps stickers. So there's a big brotherhood associated with that. There's a lot of pride associated with that. And we still train our Marines to freaking what the ultimate end state is, and that is to kill the enemy. I mean, when you go to recruit training, you're getting a freaking rifle, you're getting a bayonet, and you're driving that cold hard steel into a dummy that.
Is that how you guys do it? You actually drive the live bayonet into the dummy?
Yeah, there is a bayonet assault course, and literally you're thrusting freaking cold hard steel into a dummy wearing a flak jacket.
Do you guys also utilize the pugil sticks at all, or?
Yes, we still use pugil sticks. We also have these things called milkajus. It's just a wooden stick. It almost looks like an old school like musket. Yeah. It's got like a rubber ball type deal on the end of it, and Marines will sit there, get online, and practice the different techniques they learned for bayonet fighting, and they'll even back guys up to like 20 yards and have them literally go full force, and hey, winner takes all.
You guys beat the shit out of each other in training, don't you?
Yeah. It's crazy. The Martial Arts Center of Excellence is located at Quantico, Virginia. That's where I went to get certified as a McMap instructor, and they're hard there.
How long did it take to get your certification?
So there's two different types of instructors. You have the martial arts instructor, which is me, and then you have a martial arts instructor trainer.
Okay.
Those will be, if you see a Marine with his blouse off, you'll see a black belt, and then he'll have a red tab.
Okay.
That is a martial arts instructor trainer. He is certified. He can not only train regular Marines in the different belt levels, but he can make instructors themselves.
Wow.
So what they do is, those guys, they come to the Mace for, I think it's a month-long course. I'm not sure. I haven't been to the martial instructor course. But after those martial arts instructors are, certified and everything else, they get pushed out to the rest of their Fleet Marine Force units, and they start holding their own, MAI courses, martial arts instructor courses, so that they can make martial arts instructors to help, train and teach the younger Devil Dogs.
Now, when you're training these guys, are you going real hard on them? Are you having them just beat the crap out of each other? I mean, obviously, there's a fine line between having them ruin each other and having them learn the toughness of business.
Right.
But
so it's kind of like a crawl, walk, run kind of deal. You don't go full force, full blown right away.
But that is ultimately the goal, to have them going force on force with each other.
Right.
Okay.
So we have, like, a martial arts instructor will have a what's called an E-dip. So they explain the technique, then they demonstrate it, then they have the students imitate it, and then they practice the technique. Okay, so it's actually a sequenced event, and that's how a martial arts instructor teaches to the Marines.
Okay.
Right? They follow that E-dip principle, and then once the Marines practice it and they through repetition, they end up getting more proficient at it, and later on they will, we'll probably spar with another Marine or several Marines. We've right or wrong, we've had matches that involve multiple Marines just in the center, and it's just a free for all.
It's all in good fun, though, man. Right?
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember as a young Marine, what was it? I think just after my first deployment in Iraq, infantry Marines are really, really brutal. Like, we fight all the time.
Okay.
And in an infantry line company, you'll have a a headquarters platoon, first platoon, second platoon, third platoon, and weapons platoon.
Okay.
And all the platoons, we work great together, but we hate each other.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Totally.
So we fight all the time, right? And usually how it works is, like, you'll have first platoon living on the first deck, second platoon living on the second deck, third platoon on the third deck, and then, like, weapons platoon might be somewhere mixed into there.
Okay.
Right? But if one guy from one platoon gets in a fight with another one, the whole platoons are falling out. And next thing you know, in front of the barracks, you got, guys scrapping like crazy.
Nice.
So and that's what I'm talking about. That's the warrior ethos.
Yeah.
Marines, they love to drink, they love to fight, and
they also
play
love a
hard
few
and
other
work
things
hard,
too. Yeah.
so.
Yeah. But I mean, I honestly, man, like, for Marines, like, fighting each other probably keeps you in pretty good fighting condition. Keeps you tuned up for what you inevitably are gonna have to do.
Right.
Yeah. So, bro, like, why did you go ahead and start making these videos? I was kind of following you early on when you had, a lot of really good information out there. You've only put better information out there, but it's something I've always wanted to ask you is, like, why do you go ahead and make these videos for guys, like me and like our viewers, and you don't even ask for any money for it at all, dude? Like,
so I don't really know exactly how it all started. If I think back, I've had my YouTube channel for a while. I started the YouTube channel because the location of where we shoot at, not shoot videos, but like actually shoot firearms.
All right.
I used to film the guys that came out and would shoot weapons, and then what I would do is I would record that, and then I would upload that so that those guys could watch those videos, critique themselves to see how they look, what they're doing, if they're bounding and fire team rushing and stuff, if they're up too long, I'd put the camera down there by the target so they can look at themselves and, like, hey, I'm exposing myself too much when I'm shooting from cover. Stuff like that. I would do that for the guys that came out to shoot.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, and that's how kind of what I use my YouTube channel. Well, one day I decided I always liked the camouflage pattern tiger stripe. I always thought that was
it's a badass pattern.
It looks cool, and I always thought it was very effective in the North Texas woods. So one day I just said, you know what? I'm gonna show people how effective the tiger stripe camouflage pattern is. And what I did is I made a video. It's still out there. It's called Tiger Stripe Camouflage Effectiveness or something like that. And I put all the different types of tiger stripe camouflage I had. I talked about each one, and then I said, you know what, I need to have some scenes where I'm actually in the environment so people can see it. And then I went out there, and nothing crazy. I wasn't trying to hide from the camera or anything.
Okay.
I was just trying to be in the environment so that the people could see how the fabric and stuff blended in and everything else, and how it looked within the backdrop of that woodland environment. So I uploaded that video, and it started like taking off. Like, apparently there was a big interest in tiger stripe camouflage. So after I did that one, it was kind of successful and everything. I was like, well, I've got other patterns. I've got woodland. I've got marpat. I've got DPM, German flecktarn. I already had this stuff. I was like, I'll just do videos on that just so I can have a comparison between tiger stripe and woodland and marpat, just so people could see. So I did those videos, right?
Okay.
And next thing I know, I'm like six videos deep, and people are like, well, what about this pattern? What about that pattern? And I was like, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I looked into it, and a lot of the stuff that people were asking for was surplus camouflage, which surplus camouflage is cheap. You go on eBay, you search for British DPM, whether it's desert or their older woodland style DPM. Even their new multi-terrain pattern that they have, it's cheap. It's, good quality uniforms that you can pick up at a great price. So that's what I started doing. I was like, okay. So I went on eBay, I started buying some of these, surplus patterns, and then, when they came and I had a whole uniform together, I would just go out and do the same deal. Just do the same type of go in the woods, show the audience what that camouflage pattern looked like within the backdrop of that environment, and that's how it all started. People just kept watching it, and next thing I know, I've got like 10,000 subscribers, right?
Dude, so how did you go from making simply the surplus, camouflage videos, camouflage effectiveness, to the other videos? You've got a lot of them out there. You've also got some very specific ones about, enemy weapons and stuff like that, and some more field crap type stuff. What made you decide to get into that? Was it just the fact that, like, oh, I know about this stuff, I might share it with my viewers, or?
Okay, so, yeah. So, after I started getting a following with the camouflage stuff, I realized that, hey, I'm growing an audience, right? I felt that there was a big deficiency in some of the word that was getting passed down to some of the young Marines. One instance in particular that that readily comes into my head is we were doing a live fire platoon attacks range, and I was watching Marines load magazines, right? So these Marines were getting issued a whole bandolier of 5.56. Okay, when you get issued a bandolier of 5.56 inside are 5.56 on stripper clips. Okay, inside that bandolier is a stripper clip, or a charger, or some people know it as a speed loader.
Okay.
None of these Marines were using it, and the ones that were using it or trying to use it weren't doing it correctly, and they'd get frustrated and they end up not taking it. So what they were doing is they pulling out a stripper clip and taking the rounds off one at a time.
Okay.
All right. When they did that, they started loading their magazines individually, and I realized at that point, I was like, hey, there's a big freaking training scar here. All right. So I'm not saying that one experience is what kind of led me to start making like some of the other videos, like the Infantryman's Guide. But what I'm getting to is the fact that I found that YouTube is a great way for me to push out information, all right, to all the Marines, all the soldiers.
Yep.
Right, guys that are getting ready to go down range. I can communicate with them in mass media that they can access anywhere. And a lot of guys need that visual. I'm a visual learner.
Yeah.
I could open a book, read about something for 3 hours, and then you put it in front of me, and I'm like, got no clue, man.
I'm the same way, man.
Yeah, somebody's got to show it to me, or I got to watch a video.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the kind of learner I am. And I realized very quickly that, in the Marine Corps we have a saying called "break it down Barney style."
Okay.
All right, and that's what we do. As a grunt, you're a knuckle dragging grunt, right? You got to break it down. You got to break things down Barney style so it understand. That's why our M18 Claymore bag has, colorful illustrations on it on how to set up the mine. That's why it says front towards enemy on the mine. All right, you got to break things down Barney style. This is how you do it so that guys can learn it. And I realize that I have the capability of making these type of videos and pushing that information out so that these guys can access that stuff and learn it.
So you're really all about helping your fellow Marine, your fellow soldier, your fellow warrior, basically.
Right.
And that's been an overarching theme while I've been training with Brent here at One Shepherd, is the guy's constantly going out of his way to show the other guys, hey, listen, you could do it this way and it would be a little bit better for you. Or, hey, this is something I've learned from my experience. Let's do it like this. And really, this guy, I don't want to, whatever, but he's a friggin' machine out here on the battlefield. And it's been interesting to watch him. He really does want to improve the skills of his fellow warriors. So it makes total sense, man, that's what you were ultimately, trying to accomplish with the speed, with the, speed reloaders or whatever, the stripper clips.
Yeah, and that was just one example.
Yeah.
Like the foreign weapons video that I did that you brought up, that was something that when I was deploying, both deployments, we got like a 1 hour class on foreign weapons before we got into theater. 1 hour.
And did you guys use a lot of foreign weapons out there, or?
My second deployment, I actually recovered a PK machine gun. It was a Spade Grit PK machine gun on a tripod, and we only had about 600 rounds for a 240. I tried to employ that weapon system.
Really?
Ultimately, I determined that it was not safe because what happened is some riflemen threw the weapon system over a wall, and when it actually hit a corpsman on the other side of the wall. It was pretty funny, but anyways, long story short, when we got a hold of that weapon system, the only way I could employ that weapon system is that the tripod, it's kind of hard to explain, 2 tripod legs in the back, 1 forward. The gun was oriented sideways. I couldn't orient it forward.
Oh, okay.
So I just didn't deem it safe. There was no sights on it. There was a string attached to the charging handle to rack the bolt, and I'm like, you know what? We'll just hold off on this for now. But that was just one instance where a foreign weapon could have been utilized to enhance our situation on the battlefield. And, I realized very quickly that, and in that foreign weapons video, I talk about a situation where there was a Lieutenant Brian Chantosh that actually took contact from the enemy, drove his Humvee into the enemy trench, assaulted it.
Damn.
All right, his up gun laid down suppressive fire. He got out, killed as many freaking enemies as he could with his primary M16. Then he pulled out his M9 service pistol, killed as many enemies as he could with his M9 service pistol. At that point, he picked up freaking AKMs, AKs, started killing bodies with AKs, and then he picked up an RPG. Like the dude just started slaying bodies, right, with whatever weapons he can get on. And that's part of McMap. The McMap motto is one mind, any weapon. Right, and literally the logo is a fist. With 2 crossed M16s with fixed bayonets, and that's the Marine Corps culture. I kind of got on a sidetrack there, but
no. So you're saying, man, that like basically you're the warrior, like you're the weapon system.
Yes.
And you need to be able to utilize everything around
tools.
you. To accomplish the mission.
Yes, exactly.
Which is what I love about the Marines, is that you guys are, you're very effective fighting systems. And the way they train you guys, I mean, I've got an idea of it from watching, YouTube and stuff and talking with Marines I've met down the road. But it seems like they train you guys very effectively, and I don't know whether that's the Barney system like you were saying, or it's just the repetitions or whatever it is. You guys are very good at what you do, so it's always a pleasure to train with a Marine. And I appreciate you taking the time and sitting down with us, man. It means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to the viewers to have someone with your experience on the channel here. Before I let you go, dude, I have like 1 or 2 more questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, man, shoot.
Awesome. So you were saying about these foreign weapon systems, and I really think that it's important, just from my experience, to be able to know your way around like the foreign weapons. I talk to contractors who go overseas, and they say, look, when we open up the containers or whatever, we were given freaking AKs and whatever, and we had to kind of figure it out as we go. So even if that's in a civilian context, like, hey, you never know, whatever happens, you may have to pick up an AK and know how to use it. But if you've only trained on a 12-gauge shotgun and You know, and AR, there might be a learning curve there. So do you think that it's really important to go ahead and learn as many types of weapon systems as possible for your average citizen, or more kind of just a military aspect there?
I do. Just for the simple aspect of, you know, obviously in a military battleground or whatnot, you can encounter many different weapon systems that you might ultimately have to employ. Like my scenario, where we were low on 7.62 for an M240, and we ultimately tried to utilize a captured enemy machine gun to enhance, you know, our situation on the battlefield. So not only is the aspect for, you know, an individual infantryman to use it, but a citizen. You know, how many times have we had natural disasters and stuff, like Katrina, where people were cut off because of, you know, weather conditions or floods or whatever, and literally they have to defend their belongings, you know, stuff they've worked their whole life for. You know, a lot of people don't have arsenals in the house. They might have a shotgun or whatever, all right, but they might come across another weapon, right? An AR, an AK. Okay, I mean, in my house, I have ARs and AKs. I know other people have other kinds of stuff, SKSs.
Yeah.
You know, there's all kinds of firearms, surplus firearms out there that you could come across, and you need to know how to employ.
That's been a big thing for me throughout the years. Is I figure there's always kind of a learning curve. Whenever I pick up something brand new, there are some of them that are kind of intuitive, and you can deploy it, you know, from knowing your way around, you know, a basic assault rifle or whatever.
Right.
There's other ones that have complex buttons on them. You need to change it up or whatever. Or what, in your opinion, is going overboard with training, or is there such a thing?
I don't think there is such thing as
All right.
going overboard. You should definitely get just familiar with the weapons that are most prolific.
Your 12 gauge shotgun, your AR, your AK.
And, you know, when you train with a lot of weapons, like, there are a lot of similarities in weapons. So once you get to that level of proficiency where you can recognize, like, hey, that looks like a charging handle, that's definitely the safety. That's a rear drum sight as opposed to, you know, like a rear peep sight. Once you can realize that those types of characteristics, you should be able to pick up a weapon, and if you haven't already trained on it, you probably can figure it out.
Yeah. And that's what's important, right? Is being able to pick that weapon up and make it go bang.
Exactly.
And I mean, as far as the reloading and stuff, hopefully if it's got one of those crazy things, you can either figure it out or pick a new one up, right?
Right.
Okay. So with all that in mind, the question about, you know, is there such a thing as going overboard with training? Now, a lot of guys out there are going to say, like, why would I want to go to a place like, you know, One Shepherd or another school and learn stuff like this? Like, I don't know if I'll ever even have to use this stuff. Like, that seems a bit crazy to me. What I would personally say is, look, put all that aside. This is leadership training, man. Like, this is going to make you a better person ultimately. Can you go into a little bit for us about, like, your thoughts as far as using combat training and using all of this training to, you know, better yourself just as a person?
Right. I would say, and this is kind of what myself and my buddy Bruce said last time we came here, humble yourself. Come here and learn what it's like to be engaged in combat operations for over 48 hours. I got my buddy Santiago over here. First time I ever met him, I knew him through a YouTube channel. And this dude came out here to One Shepherd to train, and he literally went from a recon patrol, came back, pushed out on another patrol, came back, topped off on water, maybe got a quick bite, I don't know, and then stepped back out again for like an ambush patrol, right? And if he wasn't doing any of that, he was enhancing his position in the patrol base. Obviously, you did the same thing, Will.
We all did. And, guys, it has been so badass cool to watch these guys come in. Now, obviously, Brent's, you know, a multiple tour veteran and all that stuff. But a lot of us out here, civilians, and most of us out here didn't have any training whatsoever. There was a girl out here who, you know, came from the Midwest, didn't have any experience whatsoever. Other guys out here with, like, no or limited training. To watch them go from day one at this, where they were so green fresh, and it was obviously they didn't even, you know, necessarily know how to work an AR with all the, you know, training that they should. With that in mind, these guys went from a green civilian in less than a week to very competent and professional warriors. And I'm saying competent and professional warriors in every sense of the word. They were bounding forward towards their objective. I mean, Brent can go into a little bit more detail about how cool it's been to watch these guys go from someone that doesn't have much training to what they are in the condition that they are in now, dude. It's been dope to watch, hasn't it?
It's pretty amazing that in just a week time period,
Yeah.
These people that probably have limited experience to military tactics and everything can go from knowing nothing to going to a over 48 hour continuous combat operation where you're conducting patrolling operations, setting up patrol bases, setting a defense, going on recon patrols, locating enemy objectives,
Yeah.
and then launching a raid on it
Yeah.
at freaking 5 a.m. When you stepped off at 3 out of your patrol base.
And these guys were tired, man. I mean, we all were. I know Brent was feeling it. I was feeling it. Everyone was. But there was no complaining. There was very limited bitching. There was just professionalism. And a large part of that, I really firmly believe, had to do with the staff, with the trainers, with the cadre here. And they just have such a professional attitude that I really think that carries over towards the students, towards the people that are trying to learn. It's all about learning out here, guys. It's not about, hey, we're going to yell at you and make it seem like boot camp and all that. None of that. It's, you want to learn? Great. We're here to teach you exactly what you want to learn and exactly what you need to learn to become an effective fighting machine. Brett, is that kind of like similar towards the Marine Corps? I've heard they mess with you a little bit more, but you can go into that a little bit for us as far as the differences, similarities between something like this and what you've done.
Yeah, so they say here at One Shepherd, one of their little unofficial mottos is, One Shepherd is all the fun shit and none of the dumb shit.
Okay.
All right, so when in the real military, you have a lot of sitting around waiting, people getting yelled at, stuff like that, and all that. Don't get me wrong. All that's necessary in a military environment because you got timelines to meet and you got to get shit done, right? But here at One Shepherd, it's not like that. Yeah, your first day they teach you how to, they spend a little time, like I don't know, maybe 10 minutes showing you how to form up and everything. But all that is more just for I don't even know what the
ceremony, right?
Yeah, quick ceremony saying. At the end of the day, you have a quick formation. They're teaching you basic, falling in, standing attention, parade rest, facing movements and stuff, just so that they can have a quick formation at the end of the day. And they hardly spend any time on that. And then they roll right into combat formations, individual movements, under fire, and stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty awesome. And anybody that is wanting to take their training level to the next step should come out here and experience this, because I promise you, I am not aware of any place that does stuff like this, particularly with the Miles gear.
Yeah.
You can't do the force on force. You're not going to play airsoft for engaged targets at 500 meters with an airsoft gun. All right, you can't run away. You can't run around for 2 days straight with a paintball mask on your face, doing sims or paintball. Right, it's just not realistic.
And this stuff, I mean, it's actual ARs, it's actual rifles, and obviously it's all safe. It's been made safe with the plugs on it and everything. You're shooting blanks, but you've actually got that muzzle flash at night. Like, it's the real deal.
Right. When
you shoot your target, it beeps, or it gives you a near miss, which is like little beeps. It's the realest thing you could possibly get to combat.
Real weapons manipulations.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when your weapon, jams, you've got to fix it, and the various 3 ways or whatever that they teach you to fix it. It's serious stuff. And for you guys out there who are studying martial arts, maybe you're rolling with jiu-jitsu or doing whatever, maybe Krav, you think, hey, I want to get myself kind of on another level here of warriorship. Look, it's not all about hand-to-hand combat. With that in mind, it's also not all about shoot 'em up. You've got to supplement that training. Like Brent was talking about, we start them at one level and we take them to that higher level. It's all about always constantly improving yourself and seeking to get to the next level of training, to the next level of victory in your life, in my opinion. Brent, can you give us any kind of advice from your service career to guys out there who might be thinking about, look, I don't know about the military, maybe, but in any case, I really want to become a better warrior.
All I can say is gentlemen, you know, I don't work at One Shepherd. I'm not a cadre with One Shepherd. I'm a paying student just like Will is. And I can tell you 100% that the training we do here, all right, this FTX they do, the situational training exercises they do are on par with military training.
Yeah.
All right. So you as a civilian, or maybe you did serve in the military, but you've been out for a few years, and you just need a reminder because, you know, it's a perishable skill. You don't use it, you lose it. It's a fact. Don't kid yourself. It's a fact. All right. You come to a place like this, you get dropped in an environment, you sit there and you conduct continuous operations for 48 hours against an active Op 4 who doesn't want to get killed, all right, who's maneuvering against you because they have a mission too, all right? There's higher dictating to them what they want them to accomplish, and they want, you know, we're all alpha males here.
They want to kill you as much as you want to kill them.
Even the women here are alpha males.
That's right, that's right.
Nobody wants to lose. Everybody wants to be the winner. Everybody wants to spike the football.
Yeah, that's right. What is there an old saying in the Marine Corps? Pays to be a winner, sucks to be a loser.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so they're working hard to win. You're working hard to win. You come here, you go up against real opposition with real weapons and in real engagement ranges. It's the ultimate test, in my opinion. It's the closest you're going to get without exchanging real fire at each other. And I think that type of experience is just, you know, few and far between.
One more question, man, and I know this is one you get a lot, so I kind of want to ask it just to ask it. For any guys out there, young guys, who are thinking about going into the Marine Corps, do you have any advice to them if they were to ask you, look, can you give me any advice before I join? I'm thinking about joining. What would you say to these young guys thinking about joining up with the Marine Corps?
My advice to you, if you are contemplating, what'd you say?
He said, do it.
Yes, do it. Definitely do it. I will tell you 100%, and then I'll get back to your question. Marine Corps made me the man I am today. It's taken me around the world 4 times, 3 combat tours, and worked with NATO last year. Stopped in Poland, stopped in Germany, and got to go slay bodies over in Iraq and Afghanistan for my country. Freaking awesome, outstanding experience. Awesome. Love it. Got me talking about slaying bodies, now I lose my train of thought.
This guy's a machine.
Great freaking awesomeness, all right? Getting back to advice I have for somebody going in the Marine Corps: PT, physical conditioning, all right? Pull-ups, run. That's what you got to do. You got to be a PT god when you go to recruit training. You're a PT god when you go to recruit training. They're going to break you down, and then they're going to build you back up. If you're not physically strong, and just as equally important, mentally strong, if you're a weak bitch, all right, if you can't take failure and rebound and push through, and you're a quitter, if you're a freaking quitter, and you're the kind of guy that makes an excuse about everything, it's never your fault, it's some other aspect, you are not going to cut it. You are not going to be in the Marines, all right? And if you do make it through, well, the gig will be up very shortly once you get to the fleet and your other peer Marines meet up with you. We have the saying in the Marine Corps, the 10%. We have shit bags in the Marine Corps. We got 10% of our corps are a bunch of shit bags. And they're weak bodies. Somehow they made it through recruit training. But guess what? When they get to the fleet, they meet that corporal. They meet that sergeant. All right?
You weed them out?
Might even be a senior lance corporal. You're going to hate your time in the Marine Corps. If you are a weak bitch, you're going to hate your time in the Marine Corps. So be mentally strong and physically strong. Run, do pull-ups, do crunches, lift weights, all right? But you got to meet the standard, right? You got to be a PT god, all right? And do what you're told, okay? And remember, in recruit training, they're going to break you down, all right, to the point to where you're contemplating breaking, but don't break, right? Take it, rebound, stick through it. Whatever happens, don't quit, and you will be successful. You will earn that Eagle Glominator.
I think that's really what being a warrior boils down to is, I mean, Brent's got a saying that he's used a couple times, is just don't be a bitch. But to simplify that even more, don't quit. No matter what life takes at you, no matter what, situation you come across, mean, that's what we train for in martial arts. You don't quit. You keep enduring, and then you ultimately win that fight. I know the Marine Corps is the same way. Since Iwo Jima and everything, even going back, you know, what is it, 1812 and whatever, you guys, the Marines, have been faced with incredible death-defying odds. But what makes you guys special is you don't freaking quit, and you get the job done. And I think that's what really embodies warrior, someone who's not going to quit, not going to give up, someone who's just going to...
All right, so my first deployment was the initial invasion into Iraq. You know, obviously we pushed into Iraq, we took it. So we set up a forward operating base in this old Iraqi pistol factory.
Okay.
I can't remember how many months we were there, but when it came time to get relieved, we got relieved by the Polish.
All right.
So the Polish army came in. There was a Polish unit came onto the pistol factory, and we started doing what's called a left seat, right seat. So
What is that for the guys who don't know?
What that means is, like, you'll have 2 Marines, and then you have 2 Polish guys
Okay.
on post at the same time.
All right.
And what they're doing is Polish guys, or whoever the oncoming unit is, are observing the unit that's been there and been doing it.
Okay.
Right? And then at some point, these guys are going to take over. But the idea is to get these guys, the new guys, the chance to see how the guys that have been doing it, how they operate. All right? So the 2 Polish guys come out. It's the first time we ever worked with the Poles. A guy comes up there. One of them's got the Polish version of the PKM machine gun. I think it was rechambered in 7.62 by 5.1. Rechambered from the old Soviet caliber of 7.62 by 5.4, and that was all so that Poland could become part of NATO. But anyway, so one guy comes up here with the Polish PKM type machine gun, and the other guy has a sniper rifle, right? And we've all heard the jokes, the Polish jokes, right? I don't personally think they're true, but you know, I love Polish. Every time I interact with the Polish, they're great people. With that said, Polish guys comes on post, and you know, we're on post, and you know, both the Polish guys, one of them spoke decent English, the other one spoke like broken English, but they knew more English than I knew freaking Polish.
Yeah.
You know, they're talking to us and everything. At one point during the conversation, this big tall Polish dude with the sniper rifle goes to the back of the building, right? And he sets up his sniper rifle. He starts looking inside our fob, and I'm thinking to myself back here, I'm like, what is this guy doing? I was like, why is he orienting his sniper rifle inside our fob? Like, you know, the enemy's out this way. Like, why is he checking out the inside of our fob? And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, are these Polish jokes really true? Like, is this guy this stupid to where he's got to set up his freaking sniper rifle to watch the inside of our fob? And I'm like thinking that, I'm like, no, this can't be the thing. So anyways, this Polish guy all of a sudden just turned around and looks at me. He looks at me and he goes, come here, look. And he like points to the scope, right? So I walk over there and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What is this deal? And he's like, look. He's pointing to a scope. So I get down behind his rifle, and I remember him reach down. He like rotates his, lever, and his scope zooms in. We also had some Lithuanians on the camp.
Okay.
There was 2 extremely hot Lithuanian army chicks walking to the shower with their shower stuff, and they were smoking hot, right? And I'm like, as soon as I saw that, I smiled, and I looked at him, and he looks at me, he's like, good, yes. And I just lost it. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, yeah. There's some things that servicemen, regardless of country of origin, like, are the same. And obviously that crosses the spectrum. So
that's a funny story, man.
Yeah. So and I think I told that story in a Polish camouflage effectiveness video. But,
okay.
Yeah, that was a great experience. I love the Poles. They're great people. A couple years ago when I went to Poland to train with NATO, we did some operations out there for ball tops. And we got some liberty in Poland, and those people were just fantastic. Love Americans. Great experience.
They good warriors, the Poles?
Absolutely.
Right.
You look at Poland's history, like, when they fought the Nazis and stuff in the onset of World War II, like, they fought extremely hard. Even when nobody else was jumping in the fight, they fought tooth and nail. So, big respect to them.
If you had to do it all over again, man, would you join the Marine Corps?
Fuck yes.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome, dude. Well, it's definitely made you into a very confident warrior. It's been a freaking pleasure training with you out here, man. I appreciate you putting the word out on YouTube. And dude, I also appreciate you coming on the channel, giving me an
Likewise,
interview.
brother.
Cheers, man.
It was a pleasure.
Pleasure. Hey guys, listen, until next time, this has been Will Sherland with Gutter Fighting Secrets and Brent0331 reminding you that you are your first and last line of defense. Thank you for your time. We'll catch you on the next video.
On the right!